Kuzangpo, welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Kulaote Guragai. Our top stories. Central monastic body arrives in their summer residence at Tashchazong in Thimphu. Over 15 million in false TADA claims by civil servants in the past 11 months. Failure to update mobile numbers on social media and bank accounts causing safety concerns. After making a halt at the Simtokazong on 19th May, the central monastic body led by the Doji Lube of the Zhungdasa arrived at the Tashchazong on 20th May. Devotees lined up on the street in Thimphu town to receive blessings from the sacred relics. Ministers, parliamentarians and other senior officials received the central monastic body in a traditional Chibdral ceremony at the Tashchazong. Every year, the monk body spends winter at the Puna Dewa Chembui Poda in Punakha, moving to Thimphu on the first day of the 4th Bhutanese month. This tradition dates back to the time of Shabdrung Namgyal in the early 17th century. If the 2022 GNH Index report released by the Center for Bhutan and GNH Studies is anything to go by, Bhutanese are generally happy. The report states an increase of the GNH index by 3.3% compared to 2015. The increase shows improvements in housing, positive emotions, income, schooling, services, and literary indicators in the last 7 years. However, as happy as Bhutanese are, the report saw significant decrease in cultural participation, Triklam Namja, healthy days, and political participation indicators.
The GNH Index measures the population's overall well-being and happiness. It is a comprehensive tool based on 33 indicators which measures the 9 domains of GNH. Psychological well-being, health, education, and good governance are some of the domains. For the report, the population was classified into 4 groups of deeply happy, extensively happy, narrowly happy, and unhappy. About 10% of the population was found deeply happy, whereas about 40% were extensively happy and nearly 45% reported to be narrowly happy. Meanwhile, some 6% were found unhappy. Despite the improvements, the deterioration in good governance and political participation shows there is an increase in the proportion of people who are not willing to vote and attend meetings.
For instance, currently only civil servants are given this opportunity to have postal ballots. So why don't we then make that postal ballot service accessible to other members of the society, like from the private sector and civil society organizations, for instance.
Likewise, the researchers say the decline in cultural participation could be due to restrictions during the pandemic. Speaking at the launch of the report yesterday regarding cultural participation, Prime Minister Dr. Lote Tshering said, "It is important to reconnect with one of the core principles of GNH, Triklam Namja, and revamp policies to fill the gap." The 4th GNH survey was delayed by 2 years due to the pandemic. The 4-month-long survey between April and August last year interviewed over 11,000 respondents. The survey was carried out in 198 Gyeoks and 53 towns across the country. Devika Pradhan for BBS News.
Bhutan and Singapore has signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU on aircraft accident and incident investigation. It was signed on 19th May in the capital. The MOU was signed between Bhutan's Infrastructure and Transport Ministry and Singapore's Transport Ministry. The signing also means Bhutan will receive aircraft accident investigation training from Singaporean experts. It will also enable sharing of aviation-related information and expertise between the two countries.
Bhutan's Infrastructure and Transport Secretary said that although Bhutan had made significant progress in the aviation industry, the recent helicopter crash in Lunana was a revelation on the need to do more in the aviation sector. In a first-ever accident of such nature involving Bhutanese passengers, a helicopter carrying a family of 4 crashed at Wache in Lunana in March, killing 2.
This MOU would enable us access to expertise in the region, and we should be able to resolve these issues much faster. And also, very importantly, the unit being strengthened would also enable us to actually carry out inspections very routinely, and also reporting by the air service provider, which will actually strengthen the oversight of the ministry in terms of aviation safety.
He also said that the signing of the MOU also entails collaboration in post-investigation and data readout, which requires a lot of technical capacity and expertise. The Singaporean ambassador to Bhutan, in a recent interview with BBS, shared that this is an important step in internationalizing Bhutan's airports.
In order to attract more tourists around the world and be a responsible member of the IATA, Bhutan needs to have a standard operating procedure on reporting on incident and accident. So Singapore, being at the forefront and an aviation hub, we are here to collaborate and advise Bhutan in this endeavor.
The Singaporean Transport Ministry's Deputy Secretary said that the signing shows collective commitment between the two countries towards enhancing cooperation in aviation safety.
Singapore and Bhutan share very warm bilateral relations, and we share also many common perspectives, including the importance of air transport safety. So I think today's signing of the MOU I think reinforces our commitment to collaborate and exchange expertise when it comes to safety, it comes to investigation, and I think we look forward to continuing this cooperation.
Members of the Republic of Singapore and the Royal Government of Bhutan attended the signing ceremony. Tashiangdan, BBS News.
More than 14 million yutam was falsely claimed as travel and daily allowances, or TADA, by civil servants from July of last year till May this year. This is according to statistics maintained by the Royal Audit Authority. The authority was able to track these claims through the Checkpost Management System, CPMS, which they started using for audit purposes at the end of last year.
Out of the over 14 million yutam, more than 9 million yutam has been recovered. The Audit Authority is in the process of recovering the remaining amount. According to the RAA data, ministries have accounted for the highest amount of falsely claimed TADA during official tours. The Ministry of Health topped the list with more than 2 million yutam in falsely claimed TADA, followed by the erstwhile Ministry of Education with more than 700,000 yutam in false claims. On the other hand, the erstwhile Ministry of Labour and Human Resources has the lowest false claims at nearly 50,000 yutam. According to the RAA statistics, the full amount has been recovered. It is not just the ministries. The report also highlights district-wise findings. Poro district has the highest falsely claimed TADA, amounting to more than 1 million yutam, while Zirang has the lowest amount at just 20,000 yutam. To put it all together, the 20 districts collectively amount for over 2 million yutam in false TADA claims. On the other hand, civil servants in the ministries have falsely claimed more than 4 million yutam. For Ugendoji, Karmasum Tanwangda, PBS News.
The National Pension and Provident Fund and the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan Limited signed an agreement with the Royal Civil Service Commission to digitalize the enrollment and claim process of the Pension and Provident Fund in Thimphu on 24th May. Hereafter, civil servants and members of the Pension and Provident Fund schemes will be able to avail themselves of the services online.
First benefit is the paperwork will drastically reduce, because we'll be onboarding our new members, especially civil servants. So online baby. Second benefit is civil servants when they resign for claiming the benefit. Everything will happen online. More than anything else, the administrative burden and the mistakes when we do paper-based better, those things will automatically get resolved in mail.
The Bhutan Council for School Examinations and Assessments, BICSI, is working on getting the University of Oxford's recognition for Bhutan's Class 10 and 12 certificates. BICSI says the recognition is important for Bhutanese students who want to study abroad. Currently, these certificates face acceptance challenges from the University of Oxford and other international institutions.
previously, Bhutanese high schools were affiliated with the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, conducting Indian Certificate of Secondary Education for Class 10 and Indian School Certificate for Class 12. However, BICSI introduced the Bhutan Certificate of Secondary Education for Class 10 in 2001 and the Bhutan Higher Secondary Certificate for Class 12 board exams in 2006. Despite receiving the letters of equivalency from the Central Board for School Examinations (CBSE) in India, Bhutanese students still encountered difficulties in getting accepted by prestigious colleges, including the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. The recognition would not only benefit Bhutanese students applying to Oxford University but also eliminate the need for them to undergo a one-year foundation course, saving costs.
It will be paving a way for the future Buddhist candidate who wish to study in the Oxford University. Another would be, since the Oxford University is recognized by all other universities, so if we get recognized by them, then we will be recognized by other universities too.
After getting direction from the Central Board for the school examination, BICSI is working towards getting the recognition by approaching a UK-based agency called UKENIC.
General Secretary of the COPSI directed us to contact the regional manager of the Cambridge Assessment of International Education. Further, regional manager of that Cambridge Assessment Education International Education has directed us to contact the UKENIC, that's the European Network of Information Centre, which is the UK designated agency for the recognition of the international qualification and works on behalf of the UK government.
And according to the BICSI, if successful, it may also exempt Bhutanese students from taking the International English Language Testing System when studying abroad. Tashidekar, BBS News.
66 students will be studying nursing in Singapore through the Asian Nursing Scholarship next year. A deed was signed between the recipients and Singapore's Ministry of Health Holdings in Thimphu on 19th May. The students will have to work for 6 years in Singapore after graduation. This is the third batch of students receiving the fully funded scholarship. It was started 3 years ago with 11 recipients.
The students will join their college in Singapore in April next year. As part of the bond, they will be working for Singaporean hospitals upon completion of the 3-year diploma course. For the selection process, Class 12 marks are taken into consideration. Students have to score 70% and above in science, English, and mathematics. For students who dropped mathematics in 12th grade, the Class 10 mathematics mark is considered, but the score has to be above 70%. Candidates will then have to sit for an English language proficiency test before a final oral interview.
This is a very good opportunity for me to grow and learn so many new things in a way that can also help my career, but not only my career, but also help my country after a couple of years when I'm done studying. Not only will I study hard, but work even harder to help the country with the best of my abilities after I'm done with the scholarship.
ANS, it is a platform to reach to the other world. So I am very happy and grateful and I'm thankful to the Singaporean team for giving us the opportunity.
I am really happy for my daughter, who is one of the recipients of the scholarship. This is a rare opportunity, and 66 students have been granted the nursing scholarship. For that, we parents are exceedingly happy.
Singapore has almost doubled the intake this year from 34 last year. The second batch is currently undergoing their studies in Singapore. Singaporean officials shared that the intake has been increased because of the good performance of the first batch.
One of the reasons why we have increased the number that we want to offer is because the first batch of the Bhutanese students, 11 of them, they did very well in their academic performance.
The first batch of students are currently in their second year. With this, there will be 111 Bhutanese students studying nursing in Singapore through the scholarship. It is announced yearly by the Ministry of Education and Skills Development. Devika Pradhan for BBS News.
If you have lost your SIM card and got a new one, updating your old number on your social media and bank accounts is crucial. This is because telco companies and banks would still be sending vital information such as one-time password, OTP and verification codes, among others, to the old number. That's because Bhutan Telecom and Tashi Infocom recycle the deactivated or lost mobile numbers and give them to new customers. Banks and SIM card sellers are increasingly getting complaints related to this issue.
The recycling of a used mobile phone number is done only when the new number range for SIM cards gets exhausted. Telco companies said that this is done to efficiently utilize the number pool. According to Bhutan Telecom and Tashi Infocom, social media accounts on Facebook, Telegram, and WhatsApp are prone to security risks if people do not update their new mobile number. When the mobile number gets reissued to a new user, and if the original user does not delink it from the social media accounts, the new customer might be able to get access to the social media accounts of the old user. Telco companies recommend people to replace the old mobile numbers with the new one on their social media accounts. Meanwhile, the mobile shops in Thimphu selling SIM cards have received several complaints regarding the issue of the used number.
So many customers had a complaint, or still have a complaint, that they get calls from a wrong number. Customers are telling that we have given the used number.
Moreover, not updating the mobile number linked to the individual's bank accounts can also be risky, as the new user will have access to the OTP of the account holder.
When the SIM is reused, the same number which has been used and deactivated is given to the new customer. However, if the new customer does not update the new number, the OTP will not be received.
So you use our numbers in many offices or in banks, even in Facebook. So it is risky. In terms of our security, for security reasons, this OTP could be shared could be misused.
Meanwhile, banks have also received several complaints from the customers who received transaction notifications on their phones after purchasing a new SIM card that was deactivated but not delinked from the old user's bank account. However, some banks have started collecting the list of deactivated mobile numbers from telecom to delink such numbers from bank accounts to resolve the issues. But that alone will not solve the issue. Individual customers will still have to update their numbers linked with social media and bank accounts. Sonam Yuden for BBS News.
The tourism industry is one of the hardest hit sectors in the country by the COVID pandemic, but recent reports suggest that it is gradually recovering. Amidst all the policy reforms aimed at the revival of the tourism sector, tour guides are now working on standardizing their daily subsistence allowance, DSA, and professional fees. With the increase in the sustainable development fee, the guides are now calling for a hike in their wage as well.
The majority of the tour guides earn a DSA of around 1,500 to 2,000 Newton per day, depending on the nationality of tourist, duration of the tour, and the number of tourists according to the Guide Association of Bhutan. The chairperson of the association said the amount at the current rate is too low. Most guides have to spend about 80% of their DSA on food and accommodation during the tour. Some tour operators pay professional fees to cover food and accommodation expenses of the guides, but some do not.
There is actually a competition among the tour operators, so none of them wants to lose the group, so they land up actually cutting the cost on maybe on the hotels and restaurants and definitely on the guides. In the beginning, guides were paid as less as 1,000 Newton.
Further, the association plans to discuss the issue with the Department of Tourism, the tour operators, and specifically among the guides. Through the DSA revision, the association aims to enhance the quality of guides and promote professionalism in the services offered by tour guides. The association wants the guides to be paid a DSA of at least 2,000 Newton a day.
Now the ST have been raised from $65 per per person per day to $200 per person per night, and even for the Indian, they are charged 1,200 rupees per person per night. So accordingly, I feel there should be a raise for the tour guides also. The operator will use more professional and seasoned guides rather than fresh guides.
Guides are said to be the ambassadors of Bhutan. However, most of the guides are underpaid and all they get is the DSA. Of about 4,000 guides in the country, almost 3,000 are freelancers who do not have a monthly salary. Plus, the DSA is very low, so it is very challenging.
1,200 Indian tourists mamra.
For accompanying Indian tourists, we are given 1,200 Newton per day. So if the DSA is standardized to 2,000 by the Department of Tourism and the Guide Association, then it will be of great benefit to the guides.
Currently, there are over 1,700 licensed tour guides in the market who cleared the tour guide readiness assessment test carried out by the Tourism Department. Kinzang Hladen, PBS News.
Since the detection of the first HIV/AIDS case in the country in 1993, the country lost 178 people to the deadly virus. Globally, the virus has claimed the lives of approximately 38 million people. To remember the lives lost to HIV/AIDS, Thaksam, Pride Bhutan, and the Bhutan Kidney Foundation came together to mark the International AIDS Candlelight Memorial Day at Genaka in Thimphu on 21st May.
The day was marked with the theme of spreading love and solidarity to build stronger communities. As remembrance, members of the three organizations and the people from the local community lit butter lamps during the memorial event.
This day is to actually, remember the people who have actually lost their life to HIV and AIDS, and also to, pay our homage and gratitude to those people who have actually, fought tirelessly to bring about a, meaningful change in HIV response.
He added that even though people's attitude and behavior towards the HIV epidemic has changed over time, stigma and discrimination on those who are living with the virus still exists. Such stigma and discrimination prevent people from coming forward for voluntary HIV/AIDS testing.
Around the world, regionally, and if you look at locally, stigma and discrimination is one of the key pressing issues that we deal with. But thankfully, I think in Bhutan, we do not have extreme cases of stigma and discrimination that has happened like in other countries.
The executive director of the Pride Bhutan added that it is important to have active involvement of both the public and affected families to reduce the stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS. Meanwhile, over the span of 30 years, from 1993 to December of last year, 60 children were diagnosed HIV positive in the country, all of which are mother-to-child transmission cases. Sring Chodin, a member of Thaksam, said that although mother-to-child transmission has decreased over time, occasional cases still occur. She added that regular and timely checkups can prevent a child from testing HIV positive, even if one or both parents have AIDS. According to Thaksam, the country has seen improvements in medication and treatment of people living with HIV/AIDS. Individuals living with HIV now takes only a pill per day compared to 6 pills previously. Today, Bhutan has over 650 people living with HIV/AIDS, with almost 80% of the cases aged between 25 to 49 years. This is Dikil Hazum for BBS News.
Farmers in rural villages and monkeys do not see eye to eye. While electric and chain-link fencing can keep many wild animals at bay, monkeys are a different challenge altogether. In Punakha's Gyuncharikyawak, monkeys have a keen taste for potatoes. Tired of the monkey menace, the farmers of Drachuka are now using tigers to guard their crops against monkeys. Well, not real tigers, but stuffed tigers. And this technique has been successful so far. Just don't tell the monkeys. Our reporter Changadoji sent in this report from Punakha.
50-year-old Dojil Hamo is switching the direction her stuffed tiger faces. The stuffed tiger needs to change direction every other day so that the monkeys do not doubt that it is a dummy. What began as a pilot exercise by Doji and her husband a few years ago quickly gained popularity in the village. Doji Lhamo says since they started placing stuffed tigers to guard their crops from monkeys, the couple saw increased harvest. These potatoes are from their recent harvest. Doji says in the past she loses all her hard work to the monkeys.
I started to keep stuffed tiger for garden crops since 2018. Since then, I could harvest my agricultural produce without monkeys destroying them. Monkeys are really scared of the stuffed tiger. They run away screaming into the jungle.
A stuffed tiger cost between 2,500 to 3,500 nyutam. Most villages in the Chiok use stuffed tiger to guard their crops from monkeys. They say this trick only works on monkeys.
Earlier, monkeys came to our fields damaging potatoes, oranges, tomatoes, and paddy. But now we harvest all this produce without any problem after keeping stuffed tigers in our fields. Otherwise, monkeys came to our fields 4 to 5 times a day. Sometimes they came throughout the day and even climbed the roofs of our houses.
Since I could not handle the monkeys, I hired one stuffed tiger from my neighbor last year. It helped me a lot to guard crops, so I bought one for myself after seeing the benefit.
This time I did not even lose a single potato to monkeys, thanks to the stuffed tiger.
Almost all of our crops in Drachuka Chiok are protected by stuffed tigers. I don't know how it will be in the future, but today it is quite calm. Our crops are protected thanks to the stuffed tiger.
Farmers only guard their crops at night against other wild animals, freeing them for other works during the day. Villagers are now planning to buy more of the stuffed tiger to guard their fields against monkeys.
I'm thinking about how to make these stuffed tigers raw and about moving the tigers at a push of a remote button. I would like to request the viewers to help Ginshari Gyok if you all have any innovative ideas.
Drachuka Chiok has about 25 households and is located 12 kilometers away from the Ginshari Gyok center. While most households in the Chiok have bought stuffed tigers, for some it is beyond their means. Farmers say it is difficult to get the stuffed tigers from the nearby markets. They are also worried about the increasing price of the stuffed tigers. For Changa Doji in Punakha, this is Sherab Doji, BBS News.
That is it for this week. Thank you for joining us.